Hello, everybody. Welcome to this presentation on designing and prototyping with AI. This is meant to be an interactive workshop, so if you are interested in following along, you definitely can as we go. And yeah, let's get into it. So just briefly about who's putting this on and what we're doing here. I work for the Social Innovation Hub at the moment, which is an arm of Innovate Calgary, and our focus is on supporting impact-first innovators. What does that mean? So we really come alongside folks who have an entrepreneurial spirit, who want to see business used as a force for good in society. And whether that means targeting areas of like gaps in society, from the immigrant experience to the housing crisis to other things, like just leveraging business models for that and not relying on government grants or the nonprofit donors. And maybe finding a blend there, but really people who want to use business as a force for good. So that's our target niche here. We also do a lot of work around supporting diverse founders and having more representation in business fields. And so that's sort of our main focus here. There are other branches of Innovate Calgary that focus on other areas of innovation and empowerment. But that's where we sit right now. Why am I qualified to sort of guide you guys through this? Um, yeah, I'm a product designer. I've done a lot of early stage product development and prototyping, mainly as a work at a venture builder and doing early stage startup development for large corporates, where we did a lot of rapid iteration and prototyping. And I also did full stack like software products as well, but bulk of my expertise comes from this early stage rapid prototyping. And so I'm excited to share about some of the advancements and the new tools out there today. So yeah, just a bit of the agenda. We'll get into the AI prototyping stack or in the tools to understand sort of the landscape of what's out there. We're going to talk about some of the use cases and limitations at the moment. So depending on when you watch this, this may be outdated, but a lot of these tools are quite new. And so I'm just going to sort of give some qualifiers on where the tools are best used at the moment and where they fall short. Then we're going to get into some tactics to avoid common bugs, how to work with some of these tools, and how to build out prompts that are effective. And then we'll go to a live demonstration and we'll sort of walk through a product from start to finish. And you guys can follow along with me when I get to that point. Before we get started into these tools, any self-respecting product manager, I think, would say beware the solution trap. It can become easy to jump into building something without having built or validated it first. So if this is where you're starting, then I would say let's step a few steps back. So when you're at the time of wanting to test solutions, ideally you've done some of the discovery work and the testing with customers or even some sort of research. This is, I think, part of the solution, the testing with customers, but I am a big fan of staying in a problem space, getting deeply familiar with the needs of customers. And as you'll see throughout the presentation, this is a way to continue that research and move more into the development, the solution space. And it's important to think about even growth strategy when you're starting to design a solution. And so, yeah, all this is to say is that there's a lot of change happening in terms of the development accessibility, but the core issues remain, right, around building products that people will use and love and that will grow with customers. And so don't think that just because you can build an app doesn't mean you can build your own SaaS company with no other sort of input or guidance, right? This is all part of building a successful software product. Quickly about the tech stack, just to sort of use it as a base to talk about other products out there. Essentially, when you run software, like you're watching this video on now, there's a client where you're watching this video on, your phone or your laptop. There's the server where the actual information about how to display that data is stored. So, okay, I want to have this video screen. I want to have a comment section, all that code that sort of facilitates that. And that all that data comes from a database. So the comments and the user data and the video itself, right? So these all work in tandem to sort of feed you this experience. If you think about it as a kitchen, there's a client who sits in the dining area, right? And if they want to order some food, they have to call a server over, and the server comes, takes the request for the meal, brings it back to the kitchen, in this case, database. And then when it's ready, brings it back to the person. So the kitchen sort of, this is not a great example because I think the server is also just okay. They take the raw ingredients of the data and they present it in a way that the client can use it. So, but yeah, I think that's a helpful analogy to use. So the client really basically reads and displays the code and makes requests for additional information as you go along. And then, as you interact with the product, you can add more data to the database or delete it or whatever. The server is the one for this intermediary that has the working files that takes the data and shows it to the client. And the database is sort of just the raw data that feeds sort of this whole experience. Why am I talking about this? So if you look at the AI tools, so why don't we talk about AI tools? So this is not the no-code tools. This is not the low-code tools of old. These are AI native tools that work with large language models like Claude and ChatGPT to generate the code based on your requests. So you basically just interact through a chat function and you say, I'd like to build an app where people can track their spending. And then, you basically can parse out the functionality, and these large language models will create the actual files in the code base for you. And these tools that we're going to talk about today take that output and actually run it and package it and show you a display so that you can see what the code actually looks like, and you can build a product that you can then share with people. So if you're just using Cloud and ChatGPT, they can generate these files for you, but there's no way for them to actually store that code base anywhere and actually run it. So that's what you need a server for. And the tools we're going to talk about today, all of them have this sort of server level functionality, but many of them don't have a database, right? So the data that they're showing you on the screen is just stored in that file, and you'll see what that looks like when you get into the practice. But there's no actual database that can be updated and maintained. They're just showing the front end experience, right? And with mock data. Now, but some of them are extendable. You can build databases on top, but most of them still just do this for the front end work at the moment. There's a tool called Replit that does more of the database work. If you want this whole sort of experience and you're looking for a product that's more data driven, that's where you can start. But most of the tools are just focused on this client and server for rapid prototyping. And if you want to make it a real product, you'd have to extend it further. What's the best use case for this? So as mentioned in that previous slide, many of these tools are still in their infancy, and they can be extended to build a real product, but the real power comes in that rapid development of a prototype and the ability to really test multiple solutions across each other before you actually engage a product team and decide to build it. So many of these tools are not built to build real products, as we'll get into later, but they are a good way to get up to that sort of good enough version, good enough sort of to show people and to test that you can compare against each other. These tools also build your tech awareness. So as for those of you who are not as tech aware, that could not really just code your own product or even know how to read or navigate a code base, by interacting with the chat function, it makes it a lot easier to see actually how our product is made from a technical perspective. And you can even ask questions like, why are you doing this? What is your plan? Why are you building it this way? And you can build your tech awareness just by interacting with it and not having actually to go through the barrier of setting up all of these development environments and running the codes and, learning new programming languages, right? So it really reduces the barrier, but by engaging with it, it really builds your tech awareness as well, which is pretty cool. You can also get feedback. So this is part of the testing multiple solutions. you can easily test them with customers or link up to analytics tools to get really like live data from people. You can ask them to do usability testing or to complete certain tasks, right? Or to even just see how long are people staying on this page, where are they clicking, where do they get stuck, right? So all that solution testing can be done in these tools as well. And for those of you who have an existing product, this is also helpful to really improve internal communication. So you can basically replicate your product in a basic way in these tools and then just quickly test out adding new functionality. What does that look like? Well, what does that feel like? And then having your team collaborate on this. So then you have a source of truth for what you actually want to develop. You have a working example of it rather than just using files necessarily. And you have a working product or a working prototype pretty quickly that can help your team align on what to do next. This is an example of the solution testing. So previously, it's actually been quite complicated to build multiple solutions to a opportunity, and it takes a lot of investment to sort of build a solution, test it, get data, and evaluate what solution to move forward with. And now with this sort of new models, we're able to move much more rapidly into prototyping and then build a finalized solution. So I would encourage you as you're on this journey to really take advantage of this, not just build the first solution that comes to mind or the first solution that the tool generates, as you'll see, but to really build something that is tested and really lean into that ideation and the testing of your products. And at the end of the day, also, if you just want to build products for yourself, this is also a really cool use case. If you just have a frustration in your life or you have a tool that you're paying monthly for that you think could be automated easily, this is a way, like an easy way for you to build a really customized software tool, which usually would require some sort of technical expertise, right? But if you're just a regular business person wanting to optimize your email, right, or to improve your meal tracking and planning, whatever, like there's a lot of opportunities for you just to sort of find those inefficiencies and make your own little tools that really just helps build your expertise as well in terms of technical awareness. So what is limitations? So as mentioned, depending on when you watch this, these tools are quite new. And during our workshop yesterday, I got some questions around the customer-facing side and security and proprietary data. So as I mentioned, they are extendable into database applications. And having customers actually authenticate and sign in and store data there. But I would say if you're looking for a product in your core functionality security, you're dealing with sensitive information, I would leverage either a no-code tool, which typically has a little more robust security frameworks, or to go into development. But this can be used as a sort of intermediary prototyping phase, right? So you can use fake data, or you can limit sort of what data is used in the product. But I would say if you're looking to really build a full stack, like enterprise ready application, this is not going to be possible with these tools yet. That said, right, these are primarily simple use case products that you would be building. If you're looking to build the complications of a enterprise or even like consumer ready software, it'd be quite complex to interact with these products after you've built a certain level of functionality, right? Because it's through chat, you have less detailed interaction on what is done by the chatbot at times. So, there are times where you ask it to add a new feature and it may rewrite or break past functionality. So you have to constantly be testing things. And I would say once you get to a certain level of complexity, it makes more sense to sort of move to another setup, another tool to export your code, or hire a team, or to use a no-code tool, which typically can be more scalable. And at the end of the day, code is still code. It just feels like magic sometimes when it works. But you do need to have some technical knowledge to be able to troubleshoot, especially with bugging and feedback. And yeah, we'll get into that, some strategies there. But you still need to know sort of the basics to get by with these products. Um, this is an example of the no-code landscape. So when I talk about no-code tools, these are actual code and product builders that are more scalable, right? And been proven for years. So like I said, these new tools are basically AI native and they've been around for much less time, whereas these no-code products have had the chance to really develop in the market and build their own use case in their own spot, right? So I personally built some products in DraftBit. I know a member here uses Flutterflow for his businesses. I've used Airtable. Actually, a lot of these have built some sort of product on, and it's another form of building a product. These are a little more, I think, mature, and you can go further with them than you can with these AI tools at the moment. And so, if you're actually looking to build your solution, whatever you sort of prototype in these AI tools, um, you can take that to these no-code tools and then sort of build on that and actually make it customer facing. So that's my recommendation at the moment in terms of how you actually go from idea to a fully scaled solution. Um, Prompt strategy. So at the end of the day, with these tools, you're really just engaging them through a chatbot. Um, some of them do let you change the code, but for the most part, you're sort of making updates by text requests. And so some tips, it's good to be simple but specific with these prompts, not to try to include too many changes into one request, just to keep things iterative and to target files. So often with these tools, if you make one new request, it'll rewrite a lot of or multiple pages of the product. And so the more you're able to minimize those changes, the less you would have to rewrite. And there are ways to do this, even targeting certain files for changes if you know what to actually change. Um, it's actually also good to start with a data model and a plan on how to actually build the tools. If you actually are not aware, then it's good to still ask the tool on how it would structure things so that it actually has time to think before it starts writing code. A lot of the errors that you run into are based on the model just sort of starting to write code and then running and tripping itself up. Um, so the best way to move forward is to ask it to start with a plan and then just execute over time. And then some of them tools let you, some of these tools let you save in presets. So I'll show what this looks like as well. But you can, if you're, the more you become aware of the technical details of the development, you can ask it to use certain libraries or certain designs, or even just say if there's a bug, present me solutions before you move on, or explain to me what you're going to do before you build it, right? So you can save these sort of requests so that you don't have to keep repeating yourself when you interact with the tool. So there's sort of preset defaults for that tool when you interact with it. And I think you can do these on a project basis or a global basis for all of your, like on your account. So a live demo, let's get into it. I'm going to be building an app based on an experience I had a few weeks ago. I was on Facebook Marketplace and saw a lot of people posting food, like just like someone posted a burnt cheesecake, and then like I saw a few days later someone had posted a like lasagna that they made, like a few extra trays, and I thought it could be a fun sort of neighborhood community thing of just sharing your meals. There may be some health regulations that I thought, what if you get sick? Who's responsible? But so I don't know how this would work as a real product. There'd be a lot of other work to be done. But I think it's a fun way to start and just sort of jump into building. So I'm going to build a sort of interactive marketplace for leftover food. And so let's dig into this. I'm going to use a tool called Wizard to create the designs. So these tools, some of them are sort of design based, some of them are development based. So I'm just going to delete this past one. Start with a new one. So I know that Figma currently has their AI tool in beta. This one is in beta 2, but it's available to all users. So I'm on the free account here with Wizard. If you want to follow along, everything I do is on the free accounts. And so you'll be able to do this as well. If you have your own idea that you want to test, then go with that. But I'm going to start with this one. So you can just describe your project. In this one, I'm just going to design an app that lets people sell their leftover meals to their neighbors in order to save food waste and build community. Yeah. And let's just continue with that. I think that's a good place to start. You can also choose a style. I'm going to make it a bit techy, modern, and say make it look like Facebook Marketplace. And yeah, generate. So essentially what this is doing in the background, if you're curious, it would basically ask a um, large language model like Claude or ChatGPT to create components. Usually they would have some rules, like there's some design guidelines that are fed into the model, like, oh, make the padding X, 3 pixels on each side. Make sure buttons are no wider than, are there in multiples of 8, or, different layouts that they've sort of pulled from to build this model and give it rules on how to actually build a good interface. This is not to replace the need for actually good design, because I found that some of the outputs that come out of this are quite generic. And so if you really want a design that meets your brand and actually is opinionated and tested, then I would, you need to engage a designer. But if you want something that just copies existing things on the market, then this is a good place to start. So we can see here that they've already made some pages. There's a profile page here, people to see their profile. There's a listing page. And what is this here? Oh, like a reviews testimonial. There's like a home page. This one, okay, they're looking for, they sort of took that Facebook vibe, it looks like, and building out some news feeds. And wow, look at this. So like they're even making community events, enjoying shared meals, um, shopping carts, delivery. So they really built out the whole experience, right? So whether or not I would use all of these screens or not, like, I don't know, but I think it's a good place to start. Let's see if I find a page that we can sort of just dig into building. The nice thing with these tools as well is that once you start, you can really just have the tool extrapolate. I don't see a page here that shows a list of available meals, really. This one is a bit busy. I don't like this layout. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to ask it to try again. So I'm gonna I actually made an interactive prototype already with these, but I'm going to say like, yeah, type of description, desktop. Can you create a page for viewing the meals that have been uploaded and allow for filtering by type? Now let's see what it creates. In my demo yesterday, I liked the outputs much better, but this is a kind of a fun way to sort of play through. Okay, what if I don't like the screens it puts together? Let's see what options it comes up with. As you can see here, my free account has already been used. They already made all these components. So I really only need like one screen really to work with. So let's see what's put together here. just take some time. But yeah, if you have your own idea, hope it's going well for you. I've been following along. Maybe you had different designs than I did. Well, probably. I mean, you did. You did. I think if you do the same prompt, you would still get different designs. I've done this, I think, 3 times now, and I got different designs every time. So that's kind of fun. At least it's not being too predictable. Okay. No, this is pretty bad. You know what? I'm gonna try this again. Let's um let's delete this project and just try a new one, and it saves my previous prompts. With this tool specifically, it's the usage is based on these components. So maybe the best way is just to regenerate all of the screens. Um, yeah, this is a live demo. This is what happens when you when you try things out in a live environment. But it's good to troubleshoot together, and let's see what comes out. What I'm looking for is basically 1 or 2 screens that are workable, that I like, and then what I'm going to do is take a screenshot and upload this to a AI tool that I can um, actually build with a prototype. Okay, so this is what I was looking for here. You can see here um, a page where people can post their or see the actual meals. And you can see it generated this kind of what I was looking for, but without having to ask. So it showed the pickup location, the price, contact, and then the filter on the side. So looks pretty good. The other ones are going to load, but I think that's sort of the interactive prototype. So it automatically creates screens that I can click. And you may be wondering, well, why can I just use this prototype? Definitely can. The benefit of moving to a AI tool is that you can continue to iterate more easily over time, and it's a little more interactive, and you can share the link and host it and test I think more easily. But this is nice to have the checkout flow there. I'm just going to take this meals listing page and build that just for this demo. So I'm going to zoom in here and just take a screenshot. So I'm going to grab my screen. Oh, gotta be careful where I hover. Yeah, okay. Da-da. I'm going to save this image and just call it meal sharing. Okay, and then I'm going to go into this other tool. We're going to start prototyping. So I'm going to use Bolt today, and Bolt is quite flexible. You'll see some of the functionality here. There are other tools that are more focused as well on certain things. So Replit, like mentioned, does more database stuff. Um, this one is more pure front end and flexible. There's another one called Lovable, which is more integrations. Um, I'm still learning these as well as we go, but this is the one that I've been using the most. So let me just pull up that screenshot. I'm going to sign in because I already have an account here. And you may not see this, but I've gone into the settings. And what a good thing to do is when you get started is to show your token usage. So how this tool works is that you basically use tokens every request you make, and you have a daily reset of tokens you can use, 150,000. And the nice thing is it refreshes every day. So if you just want to stay on the free version, you can just kind of work incrementally and your project is saved. And if you want to actually work more intensely, you can upgrade for more tokens. But I'm going to just say I want to build an app that lets people share their leftovers. So you can see here, I'm using my tips, right? So I'm asking it to actually show me first and asking for a data model. And then it'll actually be able to make a plan based on what I've given it. So let's see. So data model is sort of this is what I mean by getting technical knowledge, right? So the data model is how it wants to actually structure the table. So you can see here, there's like a meals table, there's a users table, um, reservations table it made. So when you actually reserve the food, reviews, that could be interesting. It's saying, okay, here's what I'll actually build. And it's telling me to use a database here for people to log in. And saying, okay, let's just start with implementing the setup and basic UI components. And I would say, yeah, so we don't need to build all of that backend authentication yet. So let's say, yes, let's start with building the design and UI components. We don't need to connect to a database at this point. So then we'll get started to actually build the design. So you can see here now it's making the files and running it. And you can, once it's done, you can see the preview here on the right side. In the meantime, I'm going to go into my settings. This is, I just show this. So this is what I mean by knowledge. So you can see here, there's a preset project prompt that this tool basically tells this chatbot to use. So make them beautiful, make them worthy for production. And then this is more technical, right? So which libraries to use for logos or for icons, how to get photos. And you can put your own little prompts here too. So prompts like, show me before you do anything. When there's a bug, ask me before you troubleshoot, other things like that. So I do have some default prompts that I have saved that I will also share or can share, but essentially starting with the data model, using with mock data instead of a database, telling me the plan before it writes any code, creating a library of components, batching the features into different chunks. So I have a pre-saved one from shout out to Colin Matthews for this on which queries or which like prompts or presets I would want to have saved for the system. So I'm just going to save that. Let's get my screen here. And that should be now saved for future requests. Okay, if you see here, we already have the visual side built. We can expand it here and interact. Let's see. It's going to load here, I think. Okay, so I can see here the meals. They added this sort of hover effect, which is cool. Let's see if the filtering, no, filtering doesn't work yet. So it's just sort of clickable at this point, but there's no actual interaction. So let's see what it said. Add the UI effects, okay. Let's see, let's ask it to add the filtering. And you filters to the meals so that I can dynamically update the results as I make changes to the filters. And so it's showing me how it would do it, implementation steps, and yeah, I think I don't need to know exactly what it says here. If I want to, I can learn. But I'm just going to say go ahead. And there we go. So as you can see, it's rewriting a lot of files. Um, if you wanted to only target specific files and you know what you want to change, you can right click here and target the file. And if there's a file you don't want to change, you can lock it to say like, don't touch this one. Um, so let's see what how this filtering works. Yeah, you can see here. So that's kind of nice. Live filtering and the tabs work. Okay, let's see. Even the food, yeah, location. Nice. Okay. You can see here, this is quite already a good spot for time spent. I'm just going to add a cuisine filter here and maybe add some more options. I mean, the image just got messed up here. It's not a burger. But let's add some more filters. So let's say, thanks, those look great. It's always nice to be nice to the AI. Um, I would like to add some filters to show meals by cuisine type. How would go about this? This should be pretty straightforward. We just need to add some more properties to the meals, and then, oh, it's already going ahead. So I didn't ask it not to code. So I think that's maybe a mistake, but I think that's a simple request that should be able to manage without having to show me first. Um, it's basically updating adding a new modifier to the meals and then adding a component to the filtering bar to add like a cuisine type. Okay, let's just go with this and see if it works. Sometimes the errors come up and it actually is not important because it still works as a prototype. Um, yeah, and maybe you can ask it to add some more to refresh, maybe add some more examples. Let's just say like, can you add um, this one? I think it's okay to not ask it to create a plan because it basically just needs to add um, some more meal options. So you can see here I rewrote this whole file, but what's it doing is just adding some more of these meals. So we previously only had three, and now we have some sushi and tacos and moussaka. So, and you can see here my tokens, different price options, different locations, better food images or images. So that's pretty cool as well. So let's look at this now. Um, and okay, so now we have more options, and some of the images didn't load, but we have 9 ones now. So now we can filter as well. Um, yeah, I like that. Um, as you can see, that's sort of how it goes. Let me just add one more thing. Let's just say I have the tokens anyways. Is can you make the design to make it color and playful? Now, this is some of the things. So I think it's gonna update the components. So you can see here, really all it would need to do is update the design file, but it's rewriting everything. So that's unfortunate. The one way to sort of avoid that is in this feature previews, you can use diffs so that it only edits existing files rather than the entire file. And you need a paid version for that, but that would limit the amount of changes it would do. But let's see, it's gonna just wrap this up now. Let's see what we get. Hope I have enough tokens for this. It should. Okay. So let's see. Oh, very, very interesting. I saw a quick flash there. So I gave it a pretty vague prompt on just making it playful and colorful. So let's see where it goes. Okay. I don't know if I like this gradient, but definitely more colorful. And I like these tags. Um, you have heart icons now, which is kind of fun. It broke some of the formatting, right? So I think I would have to then work with the chat to sort of upgrade that. But I like this updated filters. Like this is a much better experience, I think, than the checkboxes everywhere. And yeah, so you can see just made some updates. This is where sort of some of the limitations come into play because then I have to be like, okay, I want you to format this so that the button's beneath the price. Then you'd have to say, okay, then I want maybe to show like then you would work on the other pages. Or if you want to change some of the layouts, maybe I don't like this hover effect. I can ask it to remove that. Maybe make the cards wider. So those like fine-tuning things are complicated to make. Really, you want to make those design choices at the beginning of the project before you have to change it all, because then it gets complicated. But this is a pretty good prototype for whatever we spent doing this, 20 minutes. And if you wanted to actually share it to customers, you could then deploy it. I don't have any tokens left, but you would basically click deploy, and then you'd have a unique link that you can share. Here's how you can connect it to Supabase to sort of have a database. And if you run into any issues, you can roll back to previous requests, which is why it's also important to sort of make small iterations. And we didn't run into really any bug issues here, but if you do, just in the future, let's see, that one came up. There's usually an option to either have it address it right away or to, okay, this typically it says, okay, ran this into this bug issue, and there's a little button that says address, like fix problem. I found that it's better to actually ask it how would you fix it? So you can copy the error message, paste it, and then say, how would you fix this? Tell me how you would fix this bug before coding. And then it may give you multiple options how to move forward, and you can just basically pick one, even if you don't know what it means, but it'll lead to a lot better error handling than just trying to get it to fix right away. And the more complex the product is, the more difficult it will be to address. But yeah, anyways, that's it for me primarily here. Just some quick promos to wrap up. If you are looking to work with me more, you can book these sessions. I have these product AMA sessions that are on Thursday afternoons at the moment, depending on when you're watching this, of course. But if you're looking to work together, reach out on LinkedIn, email, and happy to chat with you more about your needs. And all the best in your building. And I hope that was helpful for you. And yeah, see you next time.